You're 40 years old, standing in an office at Alfa Romeo, the company you have given your entire adult life to. You started as a driver for them back in the 1920s, racing on dirt roads and machines that killed drivers regularly, and you were good enough to keep getting hired. By 1929, you weren't just driving anymore. You had convinced Alfa Romeo to let you run their entire racing operation under your own banner, a team you called Scuderia Ferrari. For a decade, that team was effectively the beating heart of Alfa's motorsport program, fielding their cars, managing their drivers, carrying their reputation on every track in Europe. You built something real. And now the people running the company are telling you they don't need you anymore. They're absorbing your team directly into their own structure. The thing you built is being taken out of your hands. This is 1939. You are Enzo Ferrari, and the humiliating part isn't losing the job. It's the piece of paper they make you sign on your way out, an agreement stating you cannot build a car or race a car under your own name for 4 years. The company that carries your name in every corner of the automotive world today begins with you being legally forbidden to use it. Most people in that position would take the money and disappear quietly. You don't. You start a new company that same year, and you name it Auto Avio Costituzione because you legally cannot call it anything with your own name attached to it. World War II is already tearing across Europe, so instead of racing cars, your new company makes machine tools and aircraft parts, keeping the lights on, keeping engineers employed, waiting. In 1940, you quietly build one race car anyway, badged under a different name to avoid breaking the agreement. It runs in one race. It doesn't win, but it proves something to you and to the small team around you. You haven't stopped. You've just been forced underground for a while. The war ends. The 4-year agreement finally expires, and in 1947, the first car to legally carry your name rolls out of a small factory in Maranello, Italy. It's called the 125S. It's small, loud, and built almost entirely around one purpose: racing. Here is the decision that defines everything that comes after, the one most people telling this story get backwards. You are not a car company that also races. You are a racing team that sells cars to afford to keep racing. Every road car that leaves your factory exists to fund the only thing you actually care about: winning on a track. That single inversion of priorities becomes the entire identity of the brand. While other manufacturers are asking how many cars can we sell this year, you are asking how many races can we win this season, and treating the cars in customers' driveways is almost a byproduct. It sounds financially reckless. For years, it nearly is. By the early 1950s, that strategy is paying off in a way almost nobody predicted. Ferrari cars win the very first Formula One World Championship-era races. They dominate endurance racing at Le Mans and the Mille Miglia. Wealthy customers in Europe and America start commissioning road cars directly from your small factory, not because you're chasing their business, but because owning a car connected to that racing success has become one of the most desirable things money can buy. You barely have to sell anything. People are asking to buy. But success on the track doesn't shield you from loss off it. In 1956, your son, Dino, who had been sick for years and who you had hoped might one day run the company, dies at just 24. You keep working. Colleagues later describe you spending entire days at the factory in silence, the racing program continuing, because stopping was never something you considered, even in grief. That relentlessness, for better and for worse, is part of what carries the company through everything still ahead of it. By the early 1960s, your cars are winning at Le Mans, dominating Formula One, and your name has become shorthand worldwide for speed and prestige. But underneath the glamour, the company is in real financial trouble. Racing programs burn enormous amounts of money, and you have never built the kind of large-scale manufacturing operation that generates steady, dependable profit. You need capital, and you need it badly. In 1963, an opportunity arrives that looks like the answer to everything. Ford Motor Company, one of the largest automakers on the planet, opens negotiations to buy your company outright. Executives fly to Italy, lawyers draft agreements. For weeks, it looks like Ferrari is about to become a part of an American industrial giant, with all the resources that comes with. Then you read the print on how racing decisions would actually be made under the new ownership, and you realize something unacceptable. Ford wants final say over your racing budget. They want to be able to pull you out of a race or shut down a program without your approval. You walk away from the deal on the spot, in the middle of the negotiation. Henry Ford II is furious, reportedly humiliated by how the deal collapsed, and he does something almost no other rejected buyer in history does. He orders his own company to build a car specifically designed to beat you at Le Mans, the race that matters most to you in the entire world. It takes years and an enormous amount of money, but in 1966, Ford's GT40 does exactly that, ending your team's dominance at the race you had defined your entire brand around. Losing the deal cost you a rival that nearly humiliated you on your home turf, but it also proved something the entire industry would remember. Control of the racing program mattered more than the largest offer anyone would ever put on the table. The financial pressure doesn't disappear just because you turned down Ford, and by the end of the decade, you need a different kind of partner, one willing to invest without taking the one thing you refuse to give up. In 1969, you sell half the company to Fiat, the largest automaker in Italy. It's not the deal you wanted at 40 when this all started, but the terms matter more than the headline. Fiat's money goes into building and manufacturing. You keep personal control over the racing division until the day you die. That distinction, the willingness to give up ownership while refusing to give up control of the one thing that actually mattered to you, is the reason the company survives the next several decades with its identity fully intact. You die in 1988, and Fiat eventually takes a larger stake in the company you built. But even decades later, under new ownership, under new leadership, the same strange rule still holds. The company still makes fewer cars than the world wants to buy. Here's the lesson underneath all of it, the part worth remembering long after the specific dates and deals fade from memory. Ferrari could have made more money, faster, by building more cars. Every single year for decades, the company has deliberately built fewer cars than it could sell, keeping waiting lists years long, turning away buyers with cash in hand. That looks irrational on a spreadsheet. It is exactly what protects the value of every single car already sold, and exactly what protects a brand built by a man who never wanted to be in the business of selling cars in the first place. Somewhere in Maranello right now, that same discipline is still running the company, even though the man who started it has been gone for decades. The factory could expand, the waiting list could shrink. Nobody lets it. Every Ferrari in the world exists today because a man got fired for caring more about racing than the company that employed him, and decided the only way to keep racing on his terms was to let the world buy the cars he never really wanted to sell.